Hey guys, welcome back. So we're home safe and sound from Israel. Had a great time over there in the country. We got to see a lot of cool stuff. Now the reason we went over there was a tour of the IWI factory, which we did. Also got to spend some time on the range with some really cool IWI weapons, including the X95, which is the evolved version of the Tavor rifle. Now we also got to shoot the Negev belt-fed machine gun, Uzis, all sorts of cool stuff, and I'll share that video with you here in a couple of weeks. It's going to take us a while to pull all that footage together and get it up on the website for you, but we will soon. Why we're out here this afternoon is because I want to talk about red dot sights for the Tavor. This is my black rifle. This is the first rifle I picked up. I also have a flat dark earth rifle. This rifle is wearing the SRS Trijicon sight, which I've had a lot of problems with. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not impressed with the sight. It's a very expensive sight. Now the problems that this one's having are common. It seems to be a common problem with a lot of the early sights. Now I've been told there's a fix for it. I've contacted Trijicon. They're pretending like they don't know of the problem. I'm going to send it back to them though and have them take a look at it. Hopefully they can fix it and I can do a full review on the site. Meanwhile, if you want to find out about the problems that I'm having, you can go by thebangswitch.com. I'll put a link in the description below, which is our blog. I'll talk about some of the problems I'm having. So anyway, I want to take a look at some different sight options for my flat dark earth rifle. I'm going to leave the SRS on here for now, and that's what I want to talk to you guys about this afternoon. Those different sight options. So let's get going. Here are some of the sights that I'm considering. This is the XPS-2 from EOTech. I do like the EOTech sights. The only thing I don't like about them is their battery life, but they have large screens, which makes it really easy to pick the dot up, and I also like the reticle. It has a very fine reticle that works well with magnifiers. The only thing I don't really like about the XPS-2 is how tall it sets on the rifle. Now this is the Aimpoint Comp M4. We'll talk about that here in a second. Actually, this is the sight I want to talk the most about this afternoon. But here's the little EOTech sitting on top of the Tavor. If I can get it to sit on there. There we go. Now, it's not any taller than the Comp M4. It's just blockier looking. And I'm being nitpicky here. It's goofy looking to me. I don't think it looks good aesthetically on the rifle, but functionally these are very solid performing sights. They work well in the military. They've been beat up and they've been proven performers. And also, again, they work really well with magnifiers, although I'm not a big fan of the magnifiers. But if you're looking for something like that, the EOTech is probably the way to go. If you can get around the blocky, not very good looking lines of the particular sight. The other sight I'm taking a look at is the Aimpoint Comp M4. Now, I've been a big fan of Aimpoint sights. As a matter of fact, the default sight that I want to go back to all the time is the T1 Micro. I'm not going to show you that here this afternoon because that's the one, by default, I'll want to put on any rifle, including this one. But I'm trying to expand my horizons a bit here. So the Comp M4, we'll talk about it here in more detail, talk about the technical specifications, but you can see it's a big sight as well. It's based on the same 30mm tube design of the Comp M2 and M3, except it has its own integrated base and a few other features, like I said, we'll talk about here in a few minutes. So that's what this one looks like on a Tavor. And then the other sight I'm giving very serious consideration to isn't a red dot sight, it's the Trijicon ACOG, and this is the military version. Now, traditionally, I don't like magnification on my rifles. I think red dot sights are great all the way out to 200 meters on man-sized targets. I like how fast they are. I like that they work well with both eyes open. But of the 4x sights, this is one of the few that I really like and have had, in my possession over the years for quite some time. But for whatever reason, I'll put it on a rifle in the beginning and then I'll take it off and I'll replace it with a red dot sight. But once again, I'm giving serious consideration to it. I really do like the sight. Then last but not least is what I've talked about already, is the Trijicon SRS. If this thing didn't have the problems that it's having, I would really like the sight. I bought it because it does have solar power. You can take the batteries out of it and it'll run with ambient light, giving you a dot. Of course, if you don't have a battery in it at night, it's not going to have a dot, but that works great during daylight hours. Plus it has a great battery life. Now the battery life on the Aimpoints is one of the reasons I like the Aimpoint so much. The Comp M4 probably has the most advanced circuitry of any of the previous generations of Aimpoint sights. This thing is good for almost 8 years on a AA battery, which is just absolutely amazing. That's why you don't see me buying tritium-powered sights anymore. They were all the rage before the electronics caught up in these modern red dot sights because they could go 10 years before you had to replace the tritium. The gotcha there, though, is once that tritium dies, it's pretty expensive to have it replaced, and it can take quite some time. Now that the sights like the Comp M4 have come along, and you get basically almost a decade of battery life out of the batteries, and all you have to do without taking the sight off the rifle is take the old battery out, put a new one in, I don't see any reason to use tritium-powered sights anymore. So anyway, let's take a closer look at the Comp M4. I'll talk about some of the features it has. So let's take a closer look at the Comp M4. Now the Comp M4 has a standard 30mm style tube, so it's about the same size as the original Comp M2 and M3 sights. It's a little bit longer, and it's a little bit beefier because of the battery compartment here on the top. Now this is an optional battery compartment. This compartment can either be on the top, as you see here, or they sell another version where the battery compartment's down low. So this is the high battery compartment version. This is the QRP2 setup, so it comes with what they call military grade rubber caps to cover the lenses. And it comes with this mounting system that you see here. Now the base is integrated into the sight. The original Comp M2 and M3 sights, you could put 30mm rings on them and change them out with third-party aftermarket rings. This comes with a built-in base system that's also a shock absorber that absorbs recoil on the sight. You can buy different spacers to set the sight at different heights. This sight is designed to work with the 3x magnifier very well, with the 3x magnifier that Aimpoint sells for their series of red dot sights. Now the QRP2 also has this large knob on the side, and it's improved from the original QRP sight. What this allows you to do is to tighten. It's a quick release system, but allows you to tighten it down, but it only allows you to get it so tight. It's auto setting tightness. To unscrew it, you just turn it like you normally would, the knob, and it will come right off the rifle. And then when you want to place it back on the rifle, take a look at it there. When you want to place it back on the rifle, you just line it up with the 1913 rail, set it down, and as you turn this, it has a ratcheting mechanism. Once it gets to a certain tightness, the ratchet will break over. You hear it pop, and you can't tighten it anymore, so it sets it to the perfect tension, and the sight's solidly mounted on the rifle. They have another version I've seen that has a throw lever on it. Now let's talk about the battery compartment again. There's a single AA battery in here, and it has a voltage regulator that will allow it to run with any type of AA battery you can find. A standard AA, alkaline, lithium ion, whatever. It works with any AA battery you can stick in there. Now again, this sight will last for about 8 years on a single battery, which is really impressive. And that's at a standard, not at its brightest setting, but at an average daylight setting that you would use. Now the sight does have 9 daylight settings, and it has 7 night vision settings. The sight is designed to work with 3rd generation night vision devices. On the top, you have an elevation adjustment, and then over here on the side, you uncover this, and it has large slots in it where you can use coins or things like that, the rims of cases, to tighten them down or to unscrew them. But it has click adjustments that are very positive. You can feel them. It's marked up and down, has tick marks, and I believe each click, I'll have to double check this, is a half MOA at 100 yards. It's weather sealed. This thing can be submerged 145 feet in water. So these are O-ring sealed, and they have little rubber cap holders on them so you won't lose your caps. And you can just thumb tighten it down. Everything's O-ring sealed, including the battery compartment. The dot on this sight is a 2 MOA dot. I really like the 2 MOA dots. They work well in CQB, and they work decently out to range. A couple hundred meters, it's working just fine. It's not going to completely obscure your target. The EOTech does have a finer reticle, which is 1 MOA, which again works very well with magnifiers, and if you like just a finer reticle, the EOTech's the way to go. The Aimpoint, the smallest you can get, is a 2 MOA. Now, shooting this sight is interesting. You'll notice it's a big sight. So it's designed to be operated with both eyes open. But when you're doing that with both eyes open, there's a lot of black stuff around the field of view. It's not a very clean sight picture. Certainly not as clean as the T1 Micro or something like an EOTech. That's probably one of the only dings I would give this sight, is the fact that it's just kind of big and it obscures your field of view a little bit. There's just a lot going on. Once you get used to it, you won't notice it, but it's like the first thing I noticed when I put this thing up to my eye. It clutters my field of view a lot more than any of the other red dot sights I've used previously. You'll notice it's also really big on the rifle. It's not a small sight by any means, but it's not heavy. It's not crazy heavy. It balances nice. When you put it on or take it off, you can't really tell that the weight difference is the bias is shifting whatsoever. So it's not super heavy. It's an all aluminum body. And again, it's military grade, so it's very, very tough. That's the thing about Aimpoint. You can take them out, beat them up, drop them, kick them off buildings, drag them behind cars. You're just not going to break them. Larry Vickers was throwing one of the T1 Micros on an AR-15 out of a helicopter, and even though he broke the lens, the dot still appeared. So it's a very, very durable sight. That's one of the things I really like about Aimpoint. When you get out on the range with the Comp M4, you'll want to turn the sight on. That can be accomplished with the knob right here. And also, depending on where you turn this knob, is where your settings are. You have those 7 night vision settings and the 9 daylight settings, which you can select from here. I've found that you have to turn it fairly bright on a sunny afternoon to be able to see that dot, but the dot won't wash out bad at all. I'll also point out the front of the sight is threaded, and you can put accessories on there. The QRP2 version that came with this mount actually comes with a Kill Flash ARD, and this is what looks like something of a screen door. This screws into the sight. And what that's designed to do is the front lens is kind of iridescent. and kind of, you know, not natural looking in nature. So the Kill Flash ARD will remove any lens glint that an enemy downrange might see if they're looking back at your position. If the sun hits it just right, you may get a glint off the front of the sight. That won't happen with the Kill Flash ARD, and that's why people use them. However, it does change the sight picture of the red dot sight. When you're looking through it, it looks like you're looking through a screen door. You'll see a mesh over the end, but you'll get used to it after a while. It's not too distracting. You can learn to focus past it with your eyeball, and it's not too bad. I'm gonna go ahead and leave it in there. So you'll notice that the sight I have set about midway down the Picatinny rail. Another thing that you'll notice is that the backup sights work perfectly co-witnessed through the sight with its base setting that you have here. You can use the iron sights. The dot sits perfectly right on top of that front sight, so it works nicely. This is a standard AR-15 height on the sight, so if you put backup sights on there like, you know, Magpul or Troy's or Midwest Industry backup sights on this rail system, they'll co-witness just fine through the sight. So let's do a little bit of shooting with the rifle, and I'll explain to you what it's like, if I can, to use this particular red dot sight on the Tavor. Alright, so when I'm looking through the sight, if you're used to Comp M2s or Comp M3s, it'll be a familiar sight picture. However, it is more crowded. It's more like you're looking through a tube. It's certainly not as open as a T1 Micro, and that's one of the things I really like about the T1 Micro. When I'm shooting with the Comp M4, there's just a lot of black, and there's like a tunneling effect as I'm looking down it. Now, you do want to shoot it with both eyes open. So that's a little bit different, and the lens just seems really small as compared to other, like the Comp M2 and the Comp M3. May just be an optical illusion to me, but it definitely seems like it's just smaller and more tube-like. I like the openness of the T1 Micro. However, again, it balances nicely, doesn't change how the rifle handles whatsoever. It's very quick for snapshots, bring it up and fire. It's the perfect height with this base on it. So overall, I do like the sight, but it's just a little bit off for my tastes. Let's put some more rounds downrange. Huh. Pretty interesting. Alright guys, it's time for some final thoughts on the Comp M4 and where it stands with winding up being the final red dot sight that I choose for my flat dark earth Tavor. I like the sight. It cost $813 from Optic's Planet. It's not a cheap sight. It's probably one of the most expensive red dot sights you can buy. But is this the sight I'm going to wind up using on the rifle? Probably not. And let me tell you why. If I had to take my pick between this and the T1 Micro, I like the T1 Micro better. It's smaller, lighter. I like the field of view that it gives me. It doesn't have the same tunneling effect that I find with this particular red dot sight. But overall, I don't think this is a bad sight. I think it would go great on an AR-15 or something like that. I think it's just a little bit big looking. And again, I'm being kind of goofy about how a sight looks on a rifle, but if I'm going to spend $1,000 or $800 on a sight system for my rifle, I want to like every aspect of it. I want to like how it looks aesthetically on the rifle. I want to like how it functions. Functionally, solid sight. I don't think you can pick a more durable or better made red dot sight. However, aesthetically, this isn't the sight I don't think for the Tavor. So at $813, it's definitely at the higher end of the red dot sights. There's definitely more affordable sights out there. Even the T1 Micro is going to be less expensive than this particular sight, but that again depends on the base that you buy for it. Just the basic T1 Micro will be less expensive, but once you pick something like a GG&G base, that price starts to go up a little bit, so it might be a competitive price. But overall, if you're looking for a good red dot sight, you certainly would be well served by this sight. Long battery life, 8 years on a AA battery, which is impressive. Very well made, submersible, compatible with night vision devices, pretty much a full-featured red dot sight. But for me, I don't think it's going to be the final sight on my Tavor. If you guys have any questions, you can ask those questions on our Facebook page. You can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/military arms. But also, please swing by and check out the Bang Switch. A lot more information that we post there, not just the videos that we do reviews of here, but also unique content that we post there only. So swing by that. I'll put a link to that in the description below. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll talk to you guys soon.